We convened this meeting at Wilton Park to assess the challenges of clearing improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, in the Middle East, and how we can overcome those challenges to make that clearance more effective. Last year, IEDs killed over 14,000 civilians, and civilians, in fact, still make up around 3/4 of those killed or maimed by these devices. The vast majority of those civilians are killed or maimed by devices laid by Daesh or the Taliban, and so the Middle East was a particular focus of concern for this conference. IEDs do present a very specific and very difficult set of challenges. The fact that they are improvised explosive devices means that they are constantly adaptable and they're constantly changing in their nature. The fact that they are laid by terrorist groups and quite often in war zones also means that getting information about them is particularly difficult. So this is a very specific and a very challenging situation to confront. Now, clearance timetables for these devices can be measured in years, and in some cases it'll take decades. But it's an urgent necessity if peace and development in these countries is going to be stable and reliable. Now, the clearance process involves multiple actors. It involves governments in the Middle East. It involves governments elsewhere. The governments of the UK and the US and Norway and Germany, for example, are closely involved with this process. It involves the military. It involves NGOs and humanitarian groups. And it involves the commercial sector. So multiple actors are involved in this process, all needing to work in a coordinated fashion. And it's these actors, these stakeholders, that we've convened here for the meeting.
For me, the most significant challenge with dealing with the IED threat in the Middle East is facing the affected civilian population who are dealing with these unprecedented levels of contamination. For my organisation, it's about advocating on behalf of those people. It's about mobilising resources and then coordinating an effective response to try and help them.
In the Middle East, IEDs are prevalent. If you look at Iraq, it's probably 20 years before stabilisation can take effect. Syria, 50 years. So what's the problem? There are a lot of organisations operating in demining and counter-IED. We need to understand the procedures that they all operate and what they can actually do to provide a blended solution to the problem. That means understanding the threat and deploying those organisations to areas where they can actually deliver the maximum effect. And that gets Iraqis safely back home, likewise in Syria. Many thanks.
I believe the most significant challenge facing us in the Middle East from improvised explosive devices today is the need to restore vital infrastructure in recently liberated areas so that the IDPs and refugees can return to their homes. The sad fact is, in these many areas of conflict, the infrastructure has been destroyed. We're talking about water, sewer, electricity, and the like. And to exacerbate the situation, many of these areas are also rife with IEDs that have been implanted by the departing forces. So we are working hard in these areas with other partner nations and technical experts on the ground to remove these explosive devices so that the infrastructure can be restored, which in turn will allow the IDPs and refugees to return to their homes.
نتحدث عن المشكلة الليبية باختصار. عدة مشاكل تواجه المشكلة الليبية هو إيجاد العدد الكافي من الأفراد للتعامل مع نبوات الناس المبتكرة والبحث عنها. الموجود حاليا يقومون بعمل رائع وجبار رغم قلة العدد وقلة المواد قلة العدد وقلة المواد والتجهيزات لإزالة الألغام والمفخخات وكذلك مخلفات الحرب. العقوبات المفروضة على ليبيا هي أحدث السيء في تزويدنا بالأجهزة والمعدات الهندسية ذات التقنية العالية للعمل بها داخل ليبيا. نعمل بشكل وثيق مع المجتمع الدولي والأنماس على عملية اختيار وإيجاد الأجهزة والمعدات بشكل ممتاز وبشكل جيد.
I think the main challenge of Colombia regarding IED clearance would be the logistics. To move around Colombia is very difficult, and so we have to take in mind the situation of infrastructure, transport, housing, and all those aspects, and from there develop some kind of strategy to decrease the costs and use the resources very efficiently. And we as a national authority are developing a national set of standards which take that into account in order for the operations to be developed in a very safety way, but also in a very operational efficiency point of view.
MAG, Mines Advisory Group, has a long track record in the region in clearing landmines and bombs left after conflict. The current conflict in Iraq is putting people in grave danger. They've been forced from their homes and have taken refuge in unfamiliar areas where they face unknown dangers from landmines and bombs. We're working hard. We have 90 teams removing these dangerous items to enable people to return home and to rebuild their lives in safety.